Propositions are means of specifying relations between different concepts. For example, the idea that New York is a city located to the west and south of Boston might be represented by the following propositions: New York, west of Boston, etc. They can be linked in networks. So, for instance, I have the proposition that George Washington cut down a tree as a kid, that he served as the first president, and by the same token, spatial things could be propositions. So these closely related ideas can be shared there. But one thing your author leaves us with here is that although this theory existed for a while, it tended to be refuted over the long run. The second two sentences there: people are still faster to verify visually larger parts with low association values than visually smaller parts with higher association values. So using imagery results in performance that propositional theory wouldn't predict. So, for example, I may know propositionally that Reno is actually to the west of Los Angeles, but my image is not consistent with that, and the imagery tends to override it, as you might remember describing heuristics. But nonetheless, it's still an interesting assertion that maybe not everything is visual. Some things are indeed propositional. So, for instance, what's the only really major population center that's in the southern hemisphere? It could be a few cities in Australia, of course, Vietnam, etc. But 90% of the world's population lives in the northern hemisphere. That's a piece of trivia I just learned recently. And of course, the entirety of Australia is in the southern hemisphere. So that's propositional, you could argue. I don't necessarily have to envision Australia or Ho Chi Minh City in order to grasp that concept, but nonetheless, I can sort of hold it just as an idea, a proposition. So, on the other hand, there are some things that propositional theory wouldn't predict, such as the heuristics that we hold when remembering the math of North America, etc.